So yeah, nice to meet all of you. I'm Tiernan. I'll give a bit of background about myself before jumping into the project. I'm a product designer. I've been doing product design on like traditional product teams and in consulting for about 8 years now. And the last 2 years, I've been kind of exploring in my own side projects and kind of changing the way that I work on client projects and that type of thing, just to kind of feel out what this new way of prototyping and building out experience prototypes is. And naturally, that brings you closer and closer towards the development process. And I've found myself kind of getting to the point time and time again, like, well, why stop here? I can go that little bit further. I can go that little bit further. I have no technical background. I've been playing around with the AI tools for software development for a couple of years now, but like I can't write any code, and I think that's just important saying because I'm about to speak about crabs for a moment. Has anyone heard of the term? And by the way, this isn't slides; that's a code base. Has anyone heard of the term carcinization? Yes. What is it?
Everything becomes a crab.
Everything becomes a crab. Exactly. Yes.
I mean, that's the vibe.
That's the vibe, and we're all about vibes up here today. So yeah, carcinization is what we know as a crab. There are actually many different evolutionary paths that lead to that crab. So I think there's 5 distinct paths, and nature has decided that each of them. I know, right? Yeah, I'm going to be the 6th. Nature's decided that all of them need to turn into this thing. And I think the point that we're at right now in software development is we're all kind of starting from different starting points, and I think we're merging towards a crab somewhere. So I'm going to speak a bit about my journey to becoming a crab and how I've been working as a designer in these tools. And I'd love to hear more about your guys' experiences if you think you're also becoming crabs. See, there's not a term for it yet, so crabs. There you go. So the way that I work, I think because I can't write code, it means I need a lot of process around creating the code. Because I'm a product designer and like from a research and design and product testing background, I like being involved in a lot of the decisions and stuff. I've gone through a lot of different iterations in how I work. You don't need to be able to read what's on the screen here. I'll just speak to what's on it. What I have found being most effective for creating like production quality code is having up, using the CLI tools is incredibly useful. So inside this terminal, I've got Claude Code with Opus 4.5. And then over in this terminal, I've got Codex with 5.2 high. I use Claude Code as like my daily driver. I think of it kind of as my product team, and I'm working through like a new feature with Claude Code. I then build a ticket with Claude Code, and I create an actual markdown file. And then I'll go over to Codex, and I've given that basically a role or a prompt around being like the lead engineer. So it will come in and it will review the ticket and it will provide feedback. So that's the stage that I'm at here, is getting feedback from my lead engineer and basically copying and pasting it across here as input to work on the ticket. And then I'll go into the planning stage and again do that review process. So I'll be very much involved conversationally with Claude Code over here. And then when we get to the point of getting into the more technical detail, that's when I'm bringing in my quote unquote engineering lead. I'll come to your question at the end, if that's all right. Because I also want to show you a bit about, just do a bit of a demo and kind of the tech stack and show that you can build quite complex stuff in this way. So I'll quickly do an onboarding of the platform. So it's called Many Futures, and like the short version is it allows you to you create an account on it, and it spins up some research agents, and it creates a daily briefing for you about your context. So if you're working in a certain industry and you need to stay on top of change and technology, it will serve up kind of like a daily Substack newsletter for you about that change. So I like. Old version of me, like the product experience that I'd be designing there, it would be in Figma, maybe doing some flows in Miro, but kind of limited around where I can actually make design decisions, because something like this, the experience is in the quality of the content, right? Like what it actually looks like on the page doesn't matter so much. So when we create an account, you'll see, I want to make it as easy as possible to like get as much context about the user as I can. So I'm just going to drop some stuff in here so I can show you the actual platform. I'm saying here that I'm working on at a train operating company, basically looking at what the future state might look like. and then a bit more. It doesn't really matter. This can be anything. The first thing that happens here is I'm using, has anyone come across Parallel? It's kind of like Exa.ai, so it's got this feature called monitors, which essentially sets up a monitor based on a search query. And the cool thing about it is that when new content hits that search query, it hits my platform with a webhook. So essentially it is like
a search API and a content?
Yeah, essentially, yeah. I wouldn't have been able to answer that a few months ago, but yes. So here we can see what those kind of monitors are getting set up. Again, I'm using, what was really interesting building out this experience is like, where do you put in, I'm building an agentic platform, but where do you put in the LLM and the AI stuff? And already here, just in the onboarding process, it's doing quick haiku calls to Claude Haiku to populate what these jobs might be. This account has already been set up. I just cleared the kind of onboarding through so that we can then come in and see a mature account. When AI works until it doesn't. I didn't even know that was going to come up. But you'll see here, it's captured stuff for a feed, and then the agent builds out a newsletter based on the content that has appeared over the last X amount of time. When I was building this out, I came across like a few different kind of concepts that I had to get familiar with. So the first thing that I realized was the like news items that would get returned by monitor. Sometimes they weren't that good. Sometimes it was maybe like a paywall it would get hit with, or the content just wasn't that relevant. So instead what I have now is those items, those links populate a database inside Supabase. Shout out to our sponsor. And then another cron job sets off a second API call that gets Parallel. Again, it fetches the content from the site, and then Haiku reviews all of the content and writes up like an evidence review. Is it usable? Is it not? So you'll see that here. And then a little annotation. So what I'm doing here is kind of cleaning up the data to pass it over to the agent, which is like the writer, kind of modeled on a newsroom. And then I'll just jump into my railway logs for a moment. You'll see the cron jobs here at the time that the user has chosen. So like 6:30 a.m. a cron job hits, and it sets off the briefing. So then I'm using the Claude Agent SDK, which is essentially Claude Code, but deployed in the cloud. So that gets, okay, what are the latest news items from this user? What is the user's context? What is my role as like a writer or editor? And then it creates the content and pushes it to the web. So yeah, that's kind of all that I wanted to show. I think the interesting thing for me, there's two bits. There's like, I think not knowing how to code is kind of an advantage because you need to build up the process around it. That's my story and I'm sticking with it. And then also there are so many like design and product decisions kind of littered throughout that kind of full product development flow, which normally like I wouldn't be close to at all. So it's been super interesting kind of owning that end-to-end process. Thank you.